Hey,
That's exactly how I feel right now.
hey, how you doing? I'm just getting a little yawn in here. I
Yeah,
was hoping to do it before the screen came up, but oh well. How you doing?
yeah. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
How did last week go? I haven't seen anything. I haven't you seen you post or anything online. So
Yeah, it
what's
was
going
just
on?
rough week. Rough week at work, and it was horrible. I mean, if you have I had a patient that had a complication, so it just kind of like took
But
me
don't
for a
let
tailspin.
but don't but don't let that
No, I
put you into
mean,
a tailspin. I mean, we all have difficulties and whatever trials and tribulations in life. Things happen.
agreed,
With work
agreed.
and family and all kinds of things always happen. And that's never going to change.
Right,
Unfortunately, we're engaged in this thing called life. So you're always going to face some other challenge. If it's
right,
not work today, it's family tomorrow, right? Always,
right,
always, always. So don't use food as an excuse or don't use, I should say, stress as an excuse to go back to food. It's never
right.
worth it. It'll satisfy your hunger at the moment, but afterward you regret it. If anything,
No,
it
you're
just
totally
adds
right.
to any stress because now not only got to deal with whatever it was initially that was bothering you, but now you got to deal with the extra weight and the complications and the consequences thereof, right?
Which is
Come
exactly right.
on, no
Yeah,
excuses. Come on, you're here for a reason. This is something you really, truly, in your heart of hearts, you want. And I know at
right,
times it might seem like you're going it alone, that you don't have a lot of support, maybe with around, or people may not understand why you're doing something that is quote unquote so extreme. But then again, you understand it. You understand the physiology. So you know what? Just do it. Find a way. Dig deep, dig hard. I'm
right.
here. The rest of us are here. Come on the site, read, stay
Yeah, I
involved.
definitely need to take more advantage of that.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
I
you've got
didn't
to make
really.
this a priority. I mean, there's
Right,
all this stuff going on, which is good, but I want this to be priority number one in your life right now, right?
right,
So come on, come here. That's what we're here for. I want to
right,
help you. I want to help you, a fellow physician. I want to help you more than anybody to get perfectly healthy and set an example for everybody else,
right.
right?
No, I mean,
Come
it'd
on,
be
let's
great.
do this thing. All right.
Uh, Yes,
So is your weight up or down from last week?
it's up. I haven't even measured it in a few days, but
All right. Well, you know what? Time to sort of face the music, step on the scale, put your new weight in, and then we go from there. All right.
right.
So do
Okay,
that for me, okay?
we'll do.
All right. Come on, we can do this. You can do
I
it. I
know.
know you can do it.
I
All
know.
right. How much coffee are you drinking?
So actually, after last week, I actually did try the 2 cups because again, I'm
And
not a coffee drinker. That
and
actually helped really well to cut the hunger.
it
So I had
does.
the Snicker for lunch, and I followed it with the coffee.
Okay.
And I didn't have the cravings that I typically have after a Snicker because, like
It
I said,
makes
this
it makes the fasting manageable. In
right,
essence, or makes the diet manageable, right? The
right,
trick is dinner when you get home. You probably think to yourself, I've had a long, hard day. I
yes,
had only my Snickers for lunch.
right.
Well, I can eat a little bit more and I'll still lose because after all, I didn't have anything for lunch. I just had a Snickers bar. It's nothing. And so
No,
then you
actually,
start,
that's not my thought. I'm not trying to eat more. It's just like I don't know. I let down my guard, my defenses. It's usually
okay.
like 11 o'clock at night when typically I would be asleep.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason, the last few weeks, I've had insomnia and I've been up, and that's been my downfall. And I
Okay.
live in Manhattan. We have delivery 24/7.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
usually, yes, exactly.
Wow. Wow. I mean,
Um,
you're really in the center of things there, Manhattan.
yes, I am.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow. That's really cool.
yeah.
Wow. Well, come on, let's do this thing, okay? God, I want this
Definitely
for you.
have to do it.
Remember this,
Actually, I had a question
okay?
about the because water in and of itself just gets boring. Is it okay to add the flavors?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 0 calorie,
I
but I
mean,
mean I
technically
realize
speaking, let's just
right,
assume that the little flavor things that you add to the water
right,
are 100% carbon
right,
and will become 100% fat. Let's just assume that. So the
right,
most you're going to gain in fat from drinking your water that's flavored is the weight, the physical weight of whatever you add to your water. How
right,
many
which is
drops do you put in?
minuscule.
It's pretty
I
minimal.
mean it's 2 drops for a standard 16
It's
ounce
minimal,
bottle.
right?
Right, minuscule.
Now you do that 20 times a day, it starts to add up. Even though each drop is so, I mean, it does add up. I will say that. I always try and be perfect for the sake of being perfect, because there's something that is extremely fulfilling and satisfying about being perfect. So I try not to give you too many modifications to the diet. Having said that, I don't think that adding a couple drops of this flavored stuff is going to do anything. That's my theory. But here's the problem. It's the beginning of a slippery slope, right? So you've taken a couple drops of this flavored flavoring to your water. Well, what's a couple extra potato chips in between meals? I mean, come on, it's just a couple extra potato chips. Oh, and a banana. I mean, come on. Dr. Lewis certainly couldn't complain about a banana. By the way, bananas are heavy. But, the problem is all these little things start to add up. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. And keep in mind that there's just nothing more filling than knowing that you were perfect, that you were just hardcore perfect. I know it's hard. It's really hard. There's no doubt about it. But it makes it worth it when you realize you couldn't have done better. Right. So as hard as it is, it makes it manageable. And then ultimately, when all is said and done, relatively speaking, the whole weight loss period is relatively short period of time. A few weeks to months, and that's it. You're done. So it's worth it in the end. Rather than struggle on and off for a year, let's just get this thing done.
Yeah.
So that's my attitude.
No, I mean, I get it. All
right. JC, hey, how you doing?
Hi, good.
You fell off last week.
I know it.
It sort of goes back to what I was saying with Sharon. I mean, if you don't just stay perfectly focused and you're exactly on point, you get a little bit in here, a little bit extra here. Next thing you know, it all snowballs, and you're actually, plateauing or gaining weight or whatever. I mean, I think you did lose a pound, but I mean, come on, after that first week, it's such a relative setback. I mean, you still lost weight, granted, but it's a relative setback from how well you were doing the first week, right? So here's my thing. But then again, Easter's over, right? The holiday's done.
Yeah.
Are we ready to get started again?
I am. This week is going to take extra focus because there's always something, right? But Thursday's my birthday.
Okay.
And then this weekend we are going out of town for the kids' birthdays. So we're going to be in a hotel and eating out. And so it's going to take.
That part's not so hard. Your birthday's not so hard. But then again, maybe you'll make this the birthday weekend to remember for the rest of your life. This is the one birthday weekend that was insane. You had literally just 5 bites for your birthday. You'll be able to talk about that for the rest of your life. So I say from that standpoint, just for the talking standpoint, why not do it? Why not, have a regular meal, whatever, save 1 bite at the end for sure for your cake. Just 1 bite, that's all it takes. I guarantee the rest of the cake will taste no different than that first bite did, right? Okay, so you have 4 bites of your dinner, 1 bite for the cake, and call it a perfect birthday meal. Why not? And then you'll be able to talk about that meal, unlike any prior birthday meals that you've ever had in your life. This one you'll remember and talk about for the rest of your life. I mean, that's really making this birthday special versus just eating a lot of food and chalking up to, it's my birthday, and not remembering any of it anyway. And then what was the point of that? It was a waste, right?
Yeah. No, seeing that number not move on the scale was just, I'm not even sure it matters that it's my birthday or a kid's weekend. I was just so disappointed that didn't move, that this weekend has got to count. It has to.
So then let's make it just happen, right? So let's go back and do Snickers bars and be absolutely perfect with the Snickers. Lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner.
Okay.
Yeah? Except for your birthday and your kids' birthdays. For those meals, I do want you to confine your volume, the total volume intake, to the size of a Snickers bar. In other words, 5 bites. So plan your bites well.
Okay.
Look at the plate before you take your first bite and decide you want to have 1 bite of this, 1 bite of this, 1 bite of this, 1 bite of this, 1 bite of this. Oops, nope, I only get 4 bites. So which one am I going to forego before you even take the first one? Because you don't want to be caught wishing that you had a bite of that, but you can't take it because you've already had something else, right? So plan your meal out. And have 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this, 1 of this. Save 1 for a cake when you're done. Perfect.
Yeah,
right? And just
definitely.
It'll really be an amazing week. Come on, we can do this.
I'm back on track today. I wasn't hungry at lunch, so I skipped it, and then I just had a Snickers bar for supper.
And that was it, literally.
That's it, all day.
That's even better than perfect. So every now and then you'll see me make the comment, be perfect or be better than perfect. That's better than perfect. When you go above and beyond the 5 bites twice a day, you're better than perfect. But more than anything, I mean, doesn't it feel good? I mean, admittedly, don't you feel good?
Oh, it did today. It feels so much better than, I don't know, just that number not moving that just killed me. It just really deflated me, and I don't want that to happen again.
Fair enough. But having had having eaten what you did today, just the one Snickers bar, and now you're done, it's dinner time, you're probably a little bit hungry. Maybe not. Maybe
not really.
Not really, not too bad. Certainly manageable, whatever it is. But aren't you?
I went to a softball with my daughter, and when I got home, I had a cup of coffee right away, which was about 7:30, and so I'm good.
And you feel good, right? I mean, right now, doesn't it feel good?
Yes.
And don't you feel like this is manageable? I can live like this until all the excess weight's off my body.
It's really not that big a deal. I'm just not sure. I mean, I get it. We slip up, but it's really not that hard. I mean, honestly.
Well,
it's not. So that's why I'm kind of kicking
know
myself.
that, right? But for some, when you had a week like last week, I know you know that. But yet it is hard, isn't it? Because look at last week, right? Why? It's because of years and years of habits that are ingrained on a subconscious level into our bodies. We have no control over that. And if we're not always focused, those years and years of ingrained habits are going to take over. So that's what we have to try and avoid. Stay focused. That's all I can say. And one of the best ways of staying focused is having a routine that is extremely regimented, like opening up a prepackaged food, i.e. a Snickers bar, right? I mean, there's not even any guessing or estimating or counting. It's just, I mean, it is what it is. And when the food inside the package is gone, it's gone. And if you were to go and have something else, you are instantly aware that, oh my gosh, I'm deviating from what I'm supposed to be doing. You're just aware of it, right? And it's the awareness that enables you to stay on track versus having regular food and just estimating 5 bites or taking 5 bites. It's easy we're sitting there in front of food, we take our 5 bites, and we're talking with the rest of the people at the table, and we're just having a normal dinner conversation. And we're done with our 5 bites, and we're trying to be really, really, really good with the diet. And we're sitting there and we're talking about how our son did really, really well on one of his tests. And oh my gosh, it was a subject that you loved, and you're not really whatever, you're talking about it. And then you're not even consciously aware of the fact that you just took another bite. And if I were to ask you like 3 minutes later, have you had any more than your 5 bites? You will swear on your life that you stopped at 5 bites, not even aware that you subconsciously took that extra bite or 2 or 3. And so there's the problem. And this is why I really like a prepackaged food like the Snickers bar, because it just it forces you to stay focused and not to take any extra bites. Did you hear that, or did you miss, because you froze on me? I have a feeling she might have missed out on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean,
did you get all that?
I did.
Okay, so when it got through.
So I mean, again, I live in New York. You know,
okay.
I have friends.
Manhattan, nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
doing dinner and brunches. Doing dinner and brunches is a big thing here. How do you navigate that?
Wow.
Because you're very right.
That's what it's all about. It's the
lose track of the bites.
It's the social aspects that are so hard. I mean, obviously you're very, very smart and you've got the willpower to do this, right? But now we've got to contend with all the social aspects of eating. And remember how difficult I say that is. It's one of the big obstacles that we have to overcome, especially for someone maybe in your position, I don't know. But yeah, social entertaining can be really tough, because if you're not eating like everybody else, you're all of a sudden an outcast. Or you've got the cooties and they want to know what's going on. Is it something, first of all, they want to know about it. Like, do you have a health problem or whatnot? Or, what are you doing? Then you start to explain, well, my gosh, I'm doing this because I want to lose weight. Oh, you don't need to lose weight. You'll hear that one, or you'll hear, oh, you can't do it that way. Or you'll hear, you've got to have this. Or, everyone throws in their own 2 cents. Oh my gosh. And sometimes it's just easier to eat with everybody else than to sit there and put up.
Then to get stares or questions.
It's just too hard. I totally understand that. But once again, this is your life, and your life is more important than anything right now. It's more important maybe even than maintaining some of those social relationships for right now. All I can say is find a way, somehow, some way to stay the course. You've got to do this. Come up with excuses. Maybe you're sick. Maybe, I don't know. Come up with something. Maybe you've had a bypass. Maybe you can say, you know what? I finally broke down and I underwent a gastric bypass. Well, that'll stop the conversation.
No, my friends
Everyone
are
will know
physicians.
right away. What's that?
My friends are physicians. That wouldn't fly.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but somehow we've got to do this. Or you could just be honest with everybody. I'm doing the diet. I'm doing the 5-bite diet. Did you see me on Dr. Oz? I can't remember.
I did.
You did?
I did. Not while it aired, but after the fact.
After the fact, you can say, you know what? I saw this other doctor on Dr. Oz, and I just decided I'm going to do it. It sounds crazy, I know, but you know what? When I frame it like this, when I make a commitment, I follow through on my commitment. So there's nothing anybody can say that will change my mind. I'm sorry. You guys can try. Have fun at it. Make it a game. But nobody here will be able to will force me to take that 6th bite. It's impossible. Right. Try. Right? So maybe you frame it like that, and then you go for it because your commitment is rock solid. That's the way I'd phrase it if I'm in your shoes.
No, it sounds great in theory.
Well, then do it. Then make it happen. But here's the other thing. You've got to walk the walk.
Right, exactly.
You can talk it, but now you've got to walk.
Clearly, I haven't been doing that, so I need to.
But you know what? In essence, by saying once I make a commitment, I stick to it. You're in a sense forcing yourself to stick to it because you can't break down your commitments in front of all these other witnesses, right? You're basically forcing yourself to stick to it. And yeah, you might be hungry, but you just grin and bear it. It's you can deal with it. And you know what? When it all really comes down to it, it's just hunger. I'll promise you one thing. It's a lot easier to deal with the pain of hunger than the pain of, say, running.
Right.
I promise you that. It's really not that big. It's sort of, it's like what Chasey was saying. It's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, we get these waves of hunger periodically, and they make us want to eat because eating is so good and enjoyable, whatever. But really, the hunger, when you sit down and think about it, it's not that big a deal. Just a little hunger. Go have another cup of coffee if you need to, right? But it's totally manageable. Yeah? So, Chasey, I'm so sorry. We got cut off.
Yeah. I missed the part you were talking about the restaurant and us not thinking about that 6th bite because we're
because you're sitting there around food, right? And you're sitting there talking, and you're talking about the day's events and, your children, whatever. And, your right hand, I'm assuming you're right-handed, right?
Yes.
Without you being aware of it and without it ever registering in your brain, has just gone up to your mouth's open, it's closed over the fork, and you've chewed and swallowed. And again, if I were to ask you, did you take that 6th bite or that 7th bite, 8th bite, 9th bite after your meal? You would swear in your life that you had not. And yet you did, right? Because we eat so subconsciously sometimes. So there's the beautiful thing about a Snickers bar. Once the food is gone, it's gone. It doesn't sit there begging for another bite, consciously or subconsciously. So that's why I really like the Snickers thing. But if you, like for your birthday, for example, you are going to have other food there. This is also why I mentioned in the book, one of the things that I like is to eat your 5 bites very deliberately, but eat them fairly quickly, get them in, count them, and when they're all in, just gather the food, take it into the kitchen, go back and sit down. And so you're sitting down without even the ability to take another bite because there is nothing in front of you to eat. That's what I like, and I like eating like that. I think that's a good way to go.
The Snickers is definitely my safety net. It's like you said, I open it, I know I get what's in that package, and that's it. And when it's gone, it's gone. So mentally, for me, it's just like that solves all my other issues because mentally I know when it's gone, it's gone. And so this restaurant stuff is, I know how many bites I get it, but my brain is different because it's not a set amount.
It's not set amount. Number 2, you might have paid a lot for 5 bites. You gave me, that's like $5 a bite. That's hard to justify for some people, right? But then again, we're talking about your health, and we're talking about the consequences of your health. And believe me, that can be a much more expensive road to go down. So please be willing, accept the fact that each bite is extremely valuable, and love it for the value that it has. Taste it, savor it, get all of the value out of it, but then you're done. You're done with that.
Yeah.
Move on to one more. So have your 5 bites and be done with it. It's totally worth it in the end. And when you look back, you'll actually thank yourself for having had just those 5 bites. It'll actually make the meal worth it, financially, as well as from a flavor standpoint, a taste standpoint, and from a health standpoint.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Last Sunday, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, where I had the big loss, that was the only day that I ate out, and I was a nervous wreck. And so there was no way I was going over 5 bites.
That's right, because you were so aware of it. Remember, this is what I talked about in the book.
Hypersensitive to it, definitely.
Here's the problem. Once you have a week like you've had, and once your hunger stat sets to 5 bites, it's sometimes really hard to stay focused. Why? Because you don't have any hunger anymore to remind you that you're on a diet. And you've lost the fear maybe of having not lost as much weight as you think you should, like you got the first week. You lose the fear of not being perfect. You don't have hunger to remind you that you're on a diet. You simply forget. So you justify, you had such a great week the first week, you justify an extra little bite here. How much could one little bite hurt? How much could a second little bite hurt, right? Not to mention they all add up over a week's period of time. But it's it's the fact that we're just not constantly reminded of the fact that we're supposed to be perfect that makes us not perfect. And then next thing you know, one thing snowballs, next thing you know is we haven't lost any weight, right? So here, once again, let's just finish this whole project once and for all. So you've done brilliantly tonight. I love it. You realize it's really not that big of a deal. You're not that hungry. Perfect. Just get to bed, wake up tomorrow. It's a brand new day. Let's do it again. But now we're only talking 6 days. 6 days, then 5, then 4, and 3. The big days are going to be your birthday and then your kids' birthdays. But you can do this. I mean, I want you to get a little bit uptight, a little anxious before the meal. I want you to be a little bit scared like you were that Sunday before last. I want you to be really scared about deviating from the plan. And you can do this. I know you can. And frankly, I really think you will. I think you're going to do great.
And that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Like that Sunday that I did the perfect 5 bites at the restaurant I did 6 days of Snickers, and on that 7th day or the 6th day or whatever, I did the meal, and I did perfect, but I was just terrified. I didn't want to go out to eat. It was so much pressure.
I love it. But when you were done with that meal, did you feel good when you were done with that meal?
I really did.
And
I really did.
I
felt even better that Monday when I stepped on the scale and had 11 pounds gone.
That's right.
And I knew it was worth it.
It was totally worth it. But even reflecting back on that meal, for example, the one that you had Sunday, what did you eat?
I had a cheeseburger, and I had a big plate of fries, but I didn't want those, so I just had cheeseburger.
Did you had 5 bites of a cheeseburger? No bites of the fries?
No bites of the fries, just 5.
Fair enough. Do you remember the cheeseburger?
Yes.
Is it at a place you normally go to or no?
No, it was a brand new restaurant we hadn't been to yet.
Oh, was it a normal cheeseburger, or was it a special kind of cheeseburger?
It was a stuffed cheeseburger.
When you say stuffed, explain what that was. Was the bun stuffed?
The cheese was inside the burger and on top, and then I got all the fixings on the top.
Wow, that sounds really good.
It was.
This is my other point, right? When you have only 5 bites of something, you remember it so much better than had you had the whole thing. And when I have just a couple bites of something, I'm bound to remember it much longer than if I have more bites of it. And I can remember this. I mentioned it before on one of these chats. I don't know where, but I was giving a talk at a dinner conference. Every now and then we have these dinner conferences. Do they still do that in New York, or are you guys outlawed from doing that, where the drug reps take?
Absolutely, no, we still have those.
Okay, so I'm at Ruth's Chris, which is a really nice steak restaurant.
Oh, I love that.
And that place was really great, right? Yeah. And it's all, the dinner's paid for, by the way, by the reps who put it on for us. So it's fine. So I'm sitting there, we're having this conversation, and all the food from my standpoint is free. Everything, I can eat as much or as little as I want to. And at the end, they offered these incredible desserts. But I had this chocolate No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. I didn't say that. It was an apple. It was an apple cinnamon cake. It was amazing, right? I can remember. I remember saying at the time. I remember, God, it was good. I can still taste it. It was crunchy, and of course, I love apples and all the cinnamon, whatever. But I can remember at the time I was talking about this thing, and I was saying, you know what? I'm going to have just one bite of dessert. And I was like, oh no, you can't do that. You can't just have one bite. That's too good. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And I remember saying this at the time. I bet you I'm going to remember this bite in a week, right? And then I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. I'm like, you watch me. Well, this was like 8 or 9 years ago. I can still taste it. I mean, it's crazy, right? But when you just have one bite of something, you hone in on it. You really remember it, and that truly adds value to the food. Versus, had I had the whole thing, I wouldn't remember it. I wouldn't even remember what I had. So that's my whole thing. Really, I mean, if you really, really love food, then just have a couple bites of it and truly love what you have. It'll make eating absolutely worth it.
Well, and that's just kind of what I was going to talk to you about. Is it good to have that anxious, nervous feeling when you go out to a restaurant? Because I'm just like terrified.
I love it. I think it's perfect.
Let's not go
right now. I think it's perfect. For right now, I think it's perfect. And remember, all of this is a learning process. We're sort of learning how to eat an absolutely tiny amount of food. That way, down the road, you're going to find that. Mark my words. Eating and maintaining your weight once you're thin is so automatic. You're not going to even understand how you're able to do it so easily. Your friends will come and ask you and say, "My God, JC, I mean, you've been at this weight now for like a year. How?" And you'll say, "I don't know. I eat everything. I went back to my old ways, I think, but I don't know. But I don't know. I just don't gain the weight." It's what happens is you become so comfortable eating absolutely nothing that now when you have to eat a lot more, it's obvious. It's so easy. It's sometimes at first it might seem like too much, but then I don't know, just becoming comfortable eating a small amount enables you to eat a really small amount if you need to drop a pound or two down the road. I don't know. You're going to find that it's just really, really easy. So all of this is part of the learning process. And I actually do like, in some ways, the fact that you didn't lose much last week. I mean, I do like that from a learning standpoint, because you learn, you know what, I did lose my focus, and this is what happens when you do lose your focus, and it was just too much food. And you realize also it just wasn't all that good, because when you sit back and think back about the food that you had last week, nothing really stands out in your mind. There was no one particular food that you say, gosh, that was so good, I had to have the extra bites, and the extra bites were worth it, right? Nothing was like that.
No, you're absolutely right. And I was just sitting here thinking to myself, that cheeseburger that I only took 5 bites of, that was amazing, was
not what you do remember.
I do remember.
Did you
was nothing like
you from losing weight last week? Do you remember, right?
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And those bites this weekend just weren't as good.
They're just not as good. It's never worth it. Those 5 bites are so much better than a lot of something that's anything else, right? So yes. That's part of it, right? And as we get into this more and more, it's all part of the learning process. Extra food just for the sake of eating is never, ever worth it. In fact, once you're thin, you're not going to want to eat more necessarily just for the sake of eating, because it's not worth it. It doesn't taste good. It actually detracts from the flavor of the food. If anything, you will want to eat less because you love the flavor of food and you don't want to dilute it by having extra bites of the same thing, if that makes any sense. You'll understand this more and more as we get further along the program. But for now, I just want you to focus, and do just what you did that first week again this week.
I want to. I do.
You're going to do good. You're going to do really good.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Yay. You're doing good. And then Karen, you popped up. Hey, how's it going?
Yes. I have a terrible cold.
Oh, that's no fun. Take your zinc. Drink your water.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I've been taking some stuff called Cold Breaker, and I had chicken soup for dinner tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I guess, that's the cure-all, the chicken soup. But boy, it's got a lot of calories. It's got a lot of calories, a lot of salt too.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan.
Jalapeno peppers in it, and tomatoes and cilantro. And
you know me, I'm not a big fan of soups, right? Because how do you measure it? What's a bite of soup?
I know, that's true.
I just don't like it. I don't like going down that road. I mean, granted, most of it's water, but I don't know. I just don't like to play that game. I just,
Yeah.
I'll give it to you right now because you're cold, you're sick. But boy, I'll tell you one thing. It's almost worth it sometimes to bite the bullet. Just drink water. When you get a cold, when you get sick like you are, you're not really hungry, are you? Uh-oh. Karen, are you really hungry?
I'm not hungry today.
Yeah, usually when you get really sick, I don't know why I find that when I get really sick, I'm just not hungry at all. You might think you need to eat, or you might think in some way, I want to say perverted way, but you might think in some way that eating is good for your body or helps you fight off the cold. Just the opposite. It doesn't help you at all. So, I'm about ready to lose this thing. So what I'd rather you do when you get a cold, really hone in on how you feel. You'll recognize, you know what, I'm really not hungry. I'm not hungry at all. I might think I want food, but really you're just not hungry. Cold is, when you get a cold and you get an illness, it's a very inflammatory process, and literally you're not the least bit hungry. It's just like, almost like having cancer, right? A very inflammatory disease. You have cancer, you're not hungry either. That's why you lose weight. It's not because the cancer is eating up your body. It's just, you're just not hungry, so you don't eat. Same thing when you get a cold. I just want you to realize that, and then I want you to listen to your body. Don't eat. Just drink your water. You got to have lots of fluid. Don't get me wrong there. Lots of fluid, and just get through it. Take your zinc and treat the symptoms with whatever, and drink lots of fluid and just get through it, right? But try not to eat too much.
Well, the chicken soup made my sinuses feel a lot better. It was hot with jalapeno peppers and.
So would Claritin. I don't know. I don't know.
I've never used Claritin. I've never used Claritin.
Claritin or Claritin D, whatever. Okay, well, you know what? Okay, so what's done is done. Do feel better. I do want you to feel better.
Yeah, today I bought high caffeine tea. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's great. I love it. I love the sound of it. Is it high caffeine or is it high caffeine?
It's pretty high. I didn't realize it till after I got it home. It said that coffee has 100 milligrams.
Okay, and what is this caffeine?
This has 130.
Woo! Wow, I didn't even know that. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it already. It's like my new best friend. That's fantastic. So you like tea, right?
Yes.
And you can buy this at like a grocery store?
Yeah, I got it at Whole Foods.
What's it called?
It's by the Republic of Tea, and it's called High Calf Tea, and they have all different kinds.
Oh, I love it. Even better. So for somebody who likes tea, you can get your variety in life by having different flavored teas. Resort to Snickers bars. Just stick with Snickers bars for solid food. But if you feel like you need a little variety, try a different flavored tea. I love that. I think that's brilliant. I think, what a great way to lose weight. And then if you want to try something new, just go pick out a different flavored tea. Have it. What a great thing to do. What do you think?
Oh, I'm giving it a try because I don't drink coffee and it keeps me up and makes me shaky and dizzy. And
well, honestly, in all honesty, probably the same will happen with this tea, right? It's a high dose caffeine. That's going to keep you up. But it's okay, I think, if you can deal with it. Because remember, all we need to do is find a way to just survive until we're done with this project. Once you're done.
Well, I was back watching some of the previous chats, and like the third chat that's up there, you said you could lose 80 pounds in 2 months.
Oh, easily.
And I'm like, 80 pounds in 2 months. I should be able to do that. That's like the biggest carrot in front of my nose.
Then do it.
2 months.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
The thing is this. You've got to be like Chasey was her first week for 8 consecutive weeks. I mean, her mind is right in the game, and she was only to do 1 week straight. That second week,
I'm beating myself up because I can never make it more than like 3 days. And then I just blow it for some dumb thing. It's not really the food. I think that there's something else going on.
Well, that's the thing. It's everything that we're talking about. It's why I'm here. It's why we're all here. This is, it is so hard to stay this focused for this long, despite the fact that the prize at the end is incredible. It's invaluable. It's the most incredible prize waiting for you, and it's shining. And I mean, the rainbow going over toward it is the most brilliant rainbow you've ever seen. I mean, this prize is indescribable, right?
Well, somebody else that works at my husband's office, she started some diet. It's called You Can Too on the internet, and she was trying to talk me into it. Why all that mess? The 5 bites and forget it. That's what I'm thinking in my head the whole time.
That's right.
But there was something like she wears a bracelet, and the bracelet reminds her constantly that she's on this diet. And so I thought, I might wrap a piece of ribbon around my finger or something just so I can stay in tune. It's stupid that somebody couldn't do this for 2 months. Come on. Well, 80 pounds in 2 months, somebody should be able to do that.
So that's what you say now, right? But but once again, let me go back to this. 8 weeks. We're all engaged in this thing called life. Chasey's got a couple birthday parties coming up. I don't exactly remember. Sharon, do you have anything? I can't remember. Did you say you had something coming up? I can't remember.
No, not for 2 months. I'm good.
Not that you can think of right now, but I promise you it will come along, right? So here's the bottom line. For 2 months, we can stay really focused, really good for a few days. We can do it for a week. Chasey's a great example of that. But 8 weeks in a row, I did that. I didn't do it for 8 weeks. I did it for 4 weeks. But boy, I'm telling you, you've got to be really focused.
I have a lot of reasons to do it. I've had 2 knee surgeries. I've had Achilles tendonitis since 2003. I had Sonorex treatment on my ankles. I don't need the extra weight. I need to get it off.
Well, so here's the thing, though. Going along this way, 8 weeks is a long time. And something is going to come up in those 8 weeks. Something that's big from a social standpoint in life. It might be a party. It might be your best friend's anniversary, and I don't know, for some reason you're invited or
it doesn't even take that for me. Every Saturday we go out to breakfast. It just hits me right there. I think, oh, you know what? I can cheat this morning and I won't eat lunch and dinner.
That's it.
And then something else happens and I just keep falling off.
My point is that it's always something else. And if it's not today, it's going to be tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll be 2 days from now. And it's just going to be one little deviation, few extra bites here, a few extra bites there, but that's all, right? And it snowballs, and it always happens. So, from your lips to God's ears, I wish that people could just stay focused for a few weeks. It's so rare. I do see it every now and then, but boy, it's hard. I would love for one of you guys to be absolutely hardcore perfect until you're just simply done. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be just phenomenal? Wouldn't it be amazing? Think about it. Wouldn't it be worth it? And then when you go back and reflect, I promise you, you will not have missed out on life in any way by not eating more food. You will never look back and say, I wish I had more of that particular food. Ever. Do you ever remember a time in your long life that you ever didn't eat enough of something? Ever? Even once? Anybody? Ever?
No.
Never. No. Ever. So just remember that before you go out to brunch on Sunday. Just remember that. You will not ever regret not having finished more of this food, whatever's sitting in front of you. Stop at 5. But that you will remember. You will remember the times when you ate a perfect meal, when you had just 5 bites. In fact, you may not only remember that episode, that experience, you may remember exactly the bites and the flavors of the bites. Okay? Yeah. Just remember all of that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to let you go.
How do you start back over? I think I'm on week 3 or 4 or something on the slimming station, but I want to start back at 1 because there was 4 weeks where I stopped.
Set week number 1 to your current weight, and then go back through and set week number 2, week number 3, week number 4 to that same weight.
Okay.
And then as the weeks tick by, you'll have to adjust them accordingly. Okay. To reflect the accurate weight that you are at that particular time. Okay. But there's no way of erasing the weeks, but you can go back and reset them.
Well, I could always maybe click into somebody else in the next month. Change my...
No, keep it the same. No, it's better to keep it the same. Okay, but let's get started and let's do this thing right.
Okay,
guys?
Good
Got
night.
it.
I love it. Let's do it. We can do it. Come on, guys. We're a team. There's the 4 of us together. Come on. Let's do this for ourselves and for each other. Let's do this thing, okay?
We'll do.
Deal.
Good
All
night.
right. Great. See you next
Night.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.